Hey everyone, it's Dr. Detroit here, the doctor is in, and welcome to another video where we're doing things a little bit different this time. As you guys know, we do have a NASCAR Xfinity Series full season playthrough going on right now, but I decided I wanted to add something else to the mix, and well, what am I getting myself into? This is F1 2021. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, why aren't you on F1 2022? Well, I'll put in the description box below exactly the reason why. But long story short, I wanted to get more experience here, and then we could do another season of this if we so chose. But anyway, this is going to be really cool because this is going to be a full season playthrough in F1 2021. However, it's a little bit different. We are not using our own car. We're not making our own team or anything. Instead, we're going to be on a team, and as you can see, we have the Alpine F1 team, and our teammate is going to be Fernando Alonso. So we're taking over Esteban Ocon's ride, and if you notice too that we are not the 24 for this one, we are the 46. We decided to take the Xfinity number and move it over to here. But we're going to be able to do way more than we could in the Xfinity series, because let me just show you something. Take a look at this. We have resource points that we will get every week when we do R&D stuff in practice. And what this will allow us to do is that this will allow us to actually upgrade parts of the car. Because right now, as you see over here, we have a vehicle performance comparison. We're not the fastest car out there, but we're also not the slowest car out there. You can see the slowest down there is Haas. This is also going based off of the 2021 chart, so as you can see here, Mercedes is still the dominant car. You can also see the R&D that we have, in progress if we so chose. And this will be our performance chart that'll show us all the results that we need to know about where we are. Another thing that we have is this. This is going to help us basically see the condition of the power unit and all the other things that are in our car, because we'll be able to switch these. But we got to be careful though, because if we switch to one and then go back to another one, we could incur a grid penalty, which could carry over in for a few races, especially if we have to build a whole new engine. So we're going to have to be really careful about that. Gearboxes. We are definitely going to need to. We're definitely going to need to get a new gearbox at some point, so that'll put us near the back. But we'll have to see what happens with that. Also, let's go over here to the standings because there's really no calendar to speak of. But let's go ahead and use this. So this is going to tell you exactly what tracks that we're going to be going to over this year or over this full season. So let's take a look at the 23 race schedule. So we're going to start off in Shakar for the Bahrain GP, then it's off to Imola in Italy. I should also point out too, some of these tracks I have never raced on before. So I will point those out when we get to them. So Imola is one of them. Then it's off to Portugal, for the Portuguese GP. I've never raced there. Barcelona, Spain, I have raced there before. Then it's off to Monaco for the Monaco GP at Monte Carlo. That's probably going to be a wreck fest. Then it's off to Azerbaijan for the Baku Street Circuit. I've never raced at Baku before. Then it's off to Canada for the Montreal GP. I've raced there many times. Then we go to France at the La Cassette track. Then it's off to Austria for the Red Bull Ring. Then it's Britain, Hungary, Belgium, Netherlands. I've raced at all of those tracks. Netherlands I haven't. Then it's off to Italy for Monza, Sochi with Russia, Singapore, Suzuka, Austin, Mexico City, Sao Paulo, Melbourne, Jeddah. Saudi Arabia is going to be a really tough track for us, I think. And then we end the season at Abu Dhabi. You can see we have a driver standings and we have the constructor standings. I really think we can get the driver standings championship, but the constructors, I don't know. I don't know if we can do it in the first year of this, because we're going to do a full season here, and then we're going to switch over to F1 22 possibly, but it all depends on how we do here. And I gotta say this right now, real talk. I am not an F1 racer, alright? So this is going to feel more like what Jimmy Johnson experienced when he did that year of IndyCar. So we'll have to see how this goes. And also the procedures are going to be a little bit different as well. So I'm going to go to the track, and I need to do some R&D practice. I'm not going to show it for this video, but I'll show it in one of the later videos, how R&D goes. I'll qualify the car, and then when we're ready to get going, we will go down to the grid, and we'll get to do the formation lap, and also standing starts. And I'll tell you more about the settings after we get on the track. So stick around, everybody. I'll be right back. Let me go get this thing practiced and qualified.
No more testing, no more practice. This is the real deal. And it's make or break here at round 1 of this year's Formula One World Championship. There's no shortage of passing opportunities around the 3.36 miles of the Bahrain International Circuit, with the best at turn 1, of course, and then another soon into turn 4. 15 corners here, 6 to the left and 9 to the right, and we could see 1 or 2 flat spots into the tight left-hander of turn 10. So here we are in 2021 at the start of another Formula One World Championship. It all begins here. Mercedes looking to retain their hold on the title. Red Bull seeking to secure their position as the main contender for that title. Ferrari no doubt hoping for a fresh start following their difficulties last year. And elsewhere on the grid, the prospect of some really exciting battles, including between the newly rebranded Aston Martin and Alpine teams. Lots to discuss then with Anthony Davidson, who's joined me in the commentary box for today's event.
It's good to be back, Crofty. Let's hope for some good racing today. We can't know at this point how competitive these teams are relative to each other, but hopefully nobody is able to run and hide. We want to see these drivers pushing to the limit all the way to the checkered flag.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and the scientist completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Perez, Max Verstappen and Norris, Ricciardo, Leclerc, Sainz and Pierre Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Vettel, Yuki Tsunoda and Stroll, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, George Russell and Mick Schumacher, Latifi and Nikita Mazepin. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Alright, so we are actually starting right outside of Lewis Hamilton. This car is tremendous. Now, I know that I started a new career and everything, but here's the weird thing about this. We have a setup underneath this car that just made this thing super, super quick. And unfortunately, I could have gotten the pole, but I kind of messed up turn 1, and that really harmed everything. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about this. So here's the race strategy. As you can see, we are going to need to do at least, it looks like 2 pit stops for tires. Now, you can see that we have 2 different setups, or 2 different strategies to our advantage. We have the default setup where we can run softs at the beginning, so two things of softs, and pit at those particular intervals, or we can use the alternate strategy where it has us stopping at lap 7, so a lap earlier, but then the second stint taking it all the way to about lap 18. This is a 29 lap race, and we're going to go ahead and put a little extra fuel load in here just so we have a little extra to play with if we can, because we may need to play around with it a little bit. So one thing that we could do here is that you could see here, drive as hard and as fast as possible to get the most performance out of each set of tires, managing the time loss from making additional pit stops, or we can go up here and drive more conservatively. And you know what? I'm thinking we're going to go ahead and do this one, because it'll give us a 7 lap stint, 11 laps, and 11 laps. So I think we're going to use the alternate strat and come in on lap 7. So this is going to be a wild race, and I hope to God that we can do pretty good. Now, as you guys saw, that's different from the NASCAR game, is that there was no announcers or anything. But here we got to hear David Crofty, and we got to hear David Coulthard. Or, excuse me, Anthony Davison, excuse me. Now, here comes the best part. Check out what we're going to do next. This is normally about the time we would do the parade and pace laps. We get to do the formation lap. So here we go. So we're just waiting for the lights to go out. There they go. And now we go on the formation lap to get our tires warmed up.
Let's get the car up to temperature on this lap. We're learning the gears, so go through them all if you can.
Alright, so now we gotta follow Lewis Hamilton. There's Valtteri Bottas behind us. Let's go ahead and go through the gears here, make sure that the car will actually recognize them. Get the tires nice and warm. And also, for every race that we do in Formula One, we are definitely going to go through the grid, and we're going to do this.
Looks stable at the moment. No rain currently expected.
Well, obviously not, because this is the desert. Now, we do have a few things to our advantage. You'll see down there where it says overtake, we actually have a ERS system, as well as the KERS, which I think it's called Kinetic Energy Reduction System or something. I'll have to look that up again. But that'll give us a little extra boost. In fact, it kind of works like the hybrid system in the World Endurance Championship, as well as also on like other hybrid divisions. We also have our thing here, which will be the fuel mix, which we will have to play with that a little bit. Also gives us the pick window and everything like that. We can also adjust the front downforce. Also get a bunch of telemetry as well. So we need to be really careful here. And we also need to be careful with the engine. But here we go, we're about to line back up on the grid. So Lewis Hamilton is the pole sitter. We will start second, Bottas third, Perez fourth, and Max Verstappen fifth. So it was going to be a Mercedes lockout, but this Alpine decided to screw that one up. So thank goodness for that. We'll see what happens here, because I do have a setup underneath here that is pretty decent. And for some reason, the game decides to take over the cars, and now you can see everybody just going through each other. Thank goodness we ghosted. So now, the game is going to simulate the cars lining up to the grid. There we go. Alright, now we just got to wait for those 5 red lights to go out. The grid is now farming up behind us. Looks like a lot of teams are on the softs. So here we go.
On the lights, the start sequence will begin as soon as the grid is formed. Be ready with the clutch.
Well, the game's going to help me out with the clutch there. But here we go, we're just waiting on everybody to get situated. And then we can start the countdown. Here it is, everybody! 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights! And let's go! 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 In the Bahrain GP, we get a massive jump on Lewis Hamilton right there. But here comes Valtteri Bottas. Whoa, we had to go right to the inside, and we got some damage already. Sergio Perez goes up the outside, or the inside, and now we are given... we gotta reboot this race. Hold on. We can actually restart the race, and so that's what we're gonna do, because... yeah, so we're gonna restart the race, because that one, I think, was a little bit wonked out. So let's try it again. Take 2. Alright, here we go. 4 lights, 5 lights, and let's go, go, go! Here's a little bit of our overtake there as we now make our way into turn 1 and 2. Gotta be really careful down here. But look at that, we bonsai'd Lewis Hamilton. Sergio Perez tried to make a move on the inside up there. But now let's see if we can keep him behind us, because he's got a really strong car. And we just gotta be really careful here, too. Plus, we do have a little extra fuel on board, so we're probably gonna be the heaviest we are in this race. Make our way through the chicanes, nice and easy through here. Also, this is a 29-lap stage, or a 29-lap race, I should say. There is no stages to this, but I guess you could say that the pit strategy is kind of our stage break. Now, we do have something on board as well that will come into play, especially with Lewis Hamilton and some of these other ones. We have something that is actually called DRS, and that is known as the drag reduction system. when we get into the different areas, you will probably see a green line that pops up above our little telemetry box down at the bottom, and then if somebody's within a second of us, then they'll be able to catch our drift. But right now, it looks like we're keeping pace. And now here we go into the final corner as we're gonna come back around to complete lap number 1. And we'll lead the first lap. We also have the fastest lap right now too. Now, for those that are wondering, like the settings and stuff that we have for this race, this is very similar to how we have it set up for our Xfinity Series playthrough, except this one is again one level above the threshold before it goes into hard, because this is supposed to be where our car is supposed to start way in the back. But right now, we seem to be doing pretty good. Doing a lot better than I thought we were going to start off with. And yeah, as you guys can see, I'm not the most perfect F1 driver out here by any means. I mean, there are other YouTubers out there like, you know, Tiamat Marduk, even like XMattyG, Arav, and even Super GT, which we almost got sent to the Shadow Realm there, who can drive in Formula 1 way better than I can. So right now the DRS is not active, but it is going to become active on the next lap. And right now you can see that with that mistake, Lewis Hamilton is now catching up to the back of us. We'll have to keep our eye out for him all night long. And yes, this is a night race. This is one of 3 night races that F1 does. The other ones will be in Singapore, and the other one, I believe, is at Saudi Arabia. Alright, as we come off of the final corner down to the front straightaway, they'll tell us a bit about the DRS.
Great work. That's a new fastest lap of the race.
So now you can see there that it's now enabled, and we also got the new fastest lap of the race at a 1:34.966. But as you can see, we are not pulling away too much from Lewis Hamilton. But we have kept the gap up, because look at that. See, we're better in the corners right now because our car is not so good in terms of speed. But right now we're actually doing fairly well. I'm really liking this car right now. It's definitely very good. Get through this little area right here. This place always catches people off. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Looks like we can't... Huh. It looks like we can't change the fuel mix, but we do have about 2 laps extra of fuel. And we can see right here that the downforce is currently to 8. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little extra, just to see what we can do with it. Now, something else too that you'll see is that you see those green sectors up there at the top? So those green sectors will tell us, well, it'll actually change different colors. So red means that we were not faster than that. Green will be faster than our normal sector, but purple will be perfect. And right now we have the fastest lap of the race, which I don't know how.
Good job. That was the fastest lap of the race so far.
Jeez, we're getting faster with every single lap. And this is supposed to be career mode, too. So I don't know if the game detects that I have another career mode going on, or what. I don't know. But currently, as it stands, no change in the top 5. In fact, it currently goes Alpine, Mercedes, Red Bull, Mercedes, Red Bull. Gotta be really nice and easy here. But I'm actually just kind of doing consistent lap times here, because Bahrain, I did test a lot on R Factor 2, and also I've tested here many times because this was one of my worst tracks, and right now, this setup that we have is pretty good. And yes, I am doing my own shifting and braking, just like in the Xfinity series. And you'll notice too that the races look a little shorter than we do in the Xfinity series. We're actually running to 50% distance. So that's the reason why that we're going to need to use 2 different tire compounds. So as you can see, we were slower in that Sector 2, but we were pretty quick in Sector 1, which is great news. So currently we have about a 4-second lead ahead of Lewis Hamilton, and I really don't know why. But, hey, I'm not going to complain.
We're approaching the pit window. You'll be on the mediums.
Alright, so we'll be on the mediums here very soon. And we'll have to keep an eye on those mediums, but we can also abuse the mediums a little bit too. Also, we have other types of telemetry too, like this.
You are in first position, front of the pack. Hamilton is behind you. Our gap is 4.2 seconds. They're on old softs. Your pit window opens in 2 laps time. You have 25 laps to go.
Pretty cool, isn't it? Now at this point, I don't even know if we're going to continue to lead this race or win it, but we'll have to see what happens. I mean, if we can get a win in our first race of this career mode thing, that would be the bee's knees. That would just be awesome. Nice and easy through here. We've actually not had to use our overtake except for the beginning of the race. Oh, Giovinazzi's out of the race. That's one of the Alfa Romeos, so he had an issue up there. Probably had a blowout or something. I don't know. But that'll be a local yellow, so he's pulled off the side of the road, so he's out of harm's way. So there'll be no full course cautions or anything like that. But that's a shame for Giovinazzi in the Alfa. Nice and easy through here. It's kind of a nice little Sunday drive in a way. I'm sure we'll see his car once we come back around. Also, right now as we bypass this area, if you notice that there's a bunch of different symbols on the map, on the track map down there.
Caution, caution.
Okay, so this will be a local yellow.
Come off ahead of you. There's a yellow flag ahead.
Alright, so this is a slow area. Giovinazzi off track.
Okay, clear.
So yeah, that was a we had to obey the yellow flag by going a little bit slower through there. Anyway, that yellow that goldish dot down near the bottom, that's the speed trap. And that's basically placed at the end of the longest straightaway of every single track to see who gets the fastest speed. And I don't know if we have it.
Careful, we think you're going to start losing some tire grip around now.
Okay, so I think we are going to start losing the tire grip, but that's fine because we are almost into our pit window. In fact, once pit window, we'll be able to come to pit road. So the next time around, we are definitely going to have to come in. Nice and easy through these turns. And then what will happen is that we'll have to see how the field cycles back around to us. I'm hopeful that you guys can actually hear the microphone over the engine, because right now it's a little loud in my ear, but that's okay. Coming around to complete lap number 7.
We're going to box this lap. Push hard on the in lap.
Alright. So, we can actually pit whenever we want to in this little thing, but I'm going to pit right as the window opens, which is right now. And we'll see if anybody else decides to come in. I'm not fully sure where my teammate is, but we'll have to see how he comes in, because what's going to happen is that because I'm coming in first, he's going to have to wait a lap. And we don't ever want to double stack, because that's never a good thing. Whoa, got a little bit off course there, but that's okay. I mean, if this was GT7, that would have been a second penalty, I bet. See, nice and easy. In fact, I kind of want to see what our tire thing looks like. Yeah, not too bad, but it is time to bring them in. Take a look at the rest of the fuel and stuff right now. These are some numbers for you geeks, and as you can see, the brakes were definitely really hot. So we're going to have to get those sorted. Alright, here we go. This time by.
The gap to the car behind is 6.5 seconds.
Now watch this. We're gonna get to come down pit road, and then the game will take over for us. So here we go. There we go. Alright. Now we're on pit road. Here comes the rest of the leaders going by. There goes the softs, on comes the mediums, and we're back out on track with a 2.7 second pit stop. Pretty good. Now we'll see how much we've lost, as now Charles Leclerc's on pit road. So we'll have one stop left after this, and now we're out here on the mediums, so we need to get some heat in these things. But as you can see, we fell back to the 9th position. Not too much of a time loss. So now we just can kind of cruise here a little bit, because I'm sure the race will come to us. And now that we're on the mediums, we can actually afford to kind of go a little bit harder on these. So right now we are way behind the race leader, as now we're going to be getting closer to Pierre Gasly and Carlos Sainz up there. Gasly will be in that AlphaTauri paint scheme, or actually AlphaTauri, I think it's called. Yeah, that's him right there in the AlphaTauri colors. Which AlphaTauri used to be called Toro Rosso because that would be the Red Bull Junior team. But Toro Rosso became AlphaTauri somewhere before the 2020 season, I believe. Saints up there in the Ferrari. Now, I'm not sure if Gasly is going to be coming to pit road this time by. And it looks like Lewis Hamilton's coming to pit road, and I think another one of the cars coming to pit road as well. It's hard to tell some of these people, but let's see if we can beat. Let's see what's going to happen here. Look at this. We're going to get DRS thanks to him coming to pit road. Did he use a little bit of overtake? And now I believe that we have beaten Lewis Hamilton. Oh, we certainly have. But I wonder if he got held up. So now we're up to 4th, and we got Lando Norris and Valtteri Bottas in front of us. I'm not even sure who's leading right now. Let's see if we can sort that out.
Norris ahead, gap to car in front is 4.4 seconds. They're on old softs. Their tyres are 8 laps old. We think they've got 2 stops remaining. The time last lap was a 1 minute 36.8.
Okay, that's not what I was looking at.
We're in P4. Norris is ahead of you in 4 seconds. They're on old softs. Hamilton behind. The gap behind us is 9.3 seconds. They're on fresh softs. The gap to the leader is 12.5 seconds. Your pit window opens in 9 laps time. 21 laps to go.
Alright, that still doesn't tell me who the leader is right now. I guess they would have told me if it was my teammate Alonso, if he was leading. But now what happens is that it should be Bottas down there, and then whoever else in that blue car. I guess we'll find out once we come around here.
Okay, the gap behind is 9.1 seconds.
So there goes Norris to pit road. Oh, it was Perez. Alright, so Perez was the one that came to pit road, and as you can see, we have now we've now retaken the race lead. And because of the time difference and everything, we now have a big gap of 8.9 seconds ahead of Lewis Hamilton, which is going to be awesome. And as you notice too, we're actually on the alternate strategy, because look at this. The rest of the grid is on the soft tires. So that means they're going to have to stop earlier, because the soft tires are not going to hold up for us. So right now it's almost kind of like it just kind of went back to the way it was a few laps ago. But it's good to see that that the rest of the teams currently are on the other strategy. So we took the alternate strategy, and what this will accomplish for us is that we can stay out there a couple extra laps more, which means these guys will have to come to pit road. Now let's just kind of cruise here. Ah, I was afraid of that. But look at that. Haha. A spinning win. Ah, look at that. Uh-oh. Got something wrong with the rear wing, it looks like.
DRS will be offline. There's a fault with the rear wing system. Stay out. We can work on a fix remotely.
Alright. So for right now, we have no DRS to us at all. So the team's gonna fix when we got spun out, or when we spun ourselves out. going over that curb, it must have hit something. So for right now, we're just kind of hanging right here. And we did lose a little bit of our lead, but we're still about 3.4 seconds ahead of Lewis Hamilton, and we seem to be beating him in the corners a little bit more. Because we are taking a slightly different line here than everybody else. So, but yeah, I forgot. There is a part of the curb over there, over in that back turn. That. Now, I want to exercise a little bit of overtake here. So let's do that. Let's give it a little more boost down this straightaway. See if we can't get away from Louis. I mean, we still got a 3.2 second lead ahead of him, but again, that's because they're on the softer tires and we're on the mediums. So they are going to be on the faster tires, but you know, the longevity is going to be bad. And you're going to see this tire strategy play out all season long. Okay. Coming around the start finish line, this is definitely not going to be our best lap at all. There it is right there.
We're leading our teammate by 19.4 seconds.
Ooh, Valtteri Bottas just took the fastest lap away. I couldn't even tell how fast it was, but yikes. Had a feeling it was going to be one of the Mercedes, but if it had to be a Mercedes, I'm glad it was Bottas. That's now George Russell in today's standards, but because we're using F1 2021, it's still... It's gotta be really nice and gentle here for these corners. And we're slowly opening up a gap on Hamilton, which is actually pretty cool. Now, there are two white dots on the screen. I believe one of them is Mick Schumacher, and then the one that's at the very back is probably Nikita Mazepin. If you guys don't know who Nikita was, he's basically a driver that came into Haas for a little bit of time, but unfortunately, and Ukraine began, Russia banned all of its, or basically cut funding from all of their Russian drivers. And Nikita hadn't done anything wrong, but a lot of people seem to love to hate him a lot. But I did hear that he is going to try and do the Asian Le Mans series, so I guess we haven't heard the last of Mazepin. Ah, we just took the fastest lap back at a 1:34.284, and this is on the medium tires too. Really excited for this. I don't even know if we have to do too many things to this car, because right now its handling has been really good. And I haven't heard anything about the DRS in the rear wings, so as long as we stay up here near the front, we should be okay. And yes, I am doing my own gas and my own brake as well. And what you're hearing right now is the V6 turbo in these cars. They went from the screaming V8s to these... Really? Oh. So we could actually, go to the softs because of our pace. I don't know. You know what? I say we do it. So that means, because we're making such good progress on the mediums, we can go to the softs, and everybody else may have to be on the softs as well, which means this could be a very interesting deal. Looks like they still haven't... Let's bring this up a little bit so you guys can see the temperatures and everything. Which, by the way, I do have everything here in degrees and Fahrenheit and miles, as well as miles per hour, because I want you guys to see the true speed of these cars. You can also see how hot and how much the tires get and everything. It's actually a lot of fun. I love having these numbers up. Fernando Alonso comes to the pits. Not sure if that's a scheduled stop or not. I would say not, but now all we have to do is that because we have a new strategy, we gotta take care of these tires. Alright, so from the looks of it, a lot of these backmarker cars, as well as our teammate, I guess they're coming in a little early. But we may end up putting a few of them a lap down, but this track is kind of big, so I really think Mazepin's going to be the only one that's going to go a lap down, and unfortunately the only car out of the race is Giovinazzi, because he had some sort of issue. You can see that here. This race used to be contested in the daytime, but because of all the political unrest that is over there in Shekhar and the Middle East, they actually decided to put it in the evening to make it a little more safe for fans to come and attend, which I think is kind of cool. So our new pick window is going to be on lap 21, so still got a long way to go, and we got a clear track ahead of us, but we are going to close the gap here on Mazepin to possibly pass him. Said it at the intro, but you may have noticed that I keep saying we got to be careful with our equipment. Over the season, we'll have pieces of the car that are going to start wearing, and some of them may even have a fault that pops up at from time to time. If that occurs, then we may have to put a whole new engine or a whole new component in here. Now, since we have about 3 or 2 to our disposal, that's a good thing. However, if we have to change one extra and have to get a 4th one going, we will have to take a penalty, which will lose. So there may be a few races where, to make sure we don't get a penalty, we may have to put those faulty pieces on and accept the L at some of these races, because we can't win them all, or at least I don't think. Okay, we're coming off of the final corner, and that does look like Mazepin is up ahead of us. He shouldn't give us too many problems as we go up to lap him, because then there's a big gap between him. Alright, so the soft tires are starting to show their wear, but now watch what happens here. The back markers know that we're coming, but what happens is that the track marshals have to throw these blue flags to show them, hey, you know, let these faster guys go. Mazepin does it. So Mazepin let us go by very easily. It's not like in the Xfinity series where everybody's racing to be right there on the lead lap. Or the restart the race earlier, was because I didn't want to start the season off with us wrecking or anything, because that would just be a short video, wouldn't it? Nice and easy through here. I could definitely feel the rear end is starting to kick out a little bit, so I'm gonna take a little bit of downforce out and see if that fixes it a little bit. Because maybe we're pushing the tires a little bit hard. No, we're okay. That didn't sound good. Sounds like somebody must have had an issue. Hamilton to pit road. Oh, I know this strategy. I know what the game just did. When we come to pit road, there will be a major gap between us and the other cars. So we may actually hold the race lead here. But we gotta be careful too, because if we do get a yellow flag, that could be a problem. Plus, we'll get to be part of the yellow flag procedures too, meaning that we will actually get to keep the car under caution and everything. So that's pretty neat. So now it's Perez, Bottas, Norris, and Hamilton are the top 5, but of course with pit stops happening currently, may have bonsai'd Lewis Hamilton, which is pretty cool. Also, this race is going by much faster. Oh boy. Ah, I knew that was going to happen. A second spin. But look at that. A spin, another spin. But we can't keep doing that. I got to be careful. So nice, we spun twice. But now this puts Perez closer to us, but he's now on the pit road with Valtteri Bottas. We just gotta be careful not to hit those, not hit those curbs again. And did they fix the issue in the back of the car? Looks like they did. So that means we do have DRS if we need it. But right now, as it stands, we don't really need it. Brakes are currently fried by a little bit, because I think that was from when we spun out. See how now Perez and Hamilton are about 21 seconds behind us? This is where the strategy could backfire, because if we end up having an issue like we did just now, spinning the car out, there is a good chance that they could catch up to us. So as long as we keep this gap, then we shouldn't lose too much time on pit road, because our fuel window, or actually our pit window, is about to open here in a sec. Definitely feel the rear end starting to want to kick out on this car, but it's not too bad. It is on the mediums. Coming back to the line to complete lap 19, and then we'll have just a few more laps to go after that, but we'll still have to come in because we can't see these medium tires all the way to the end. Because here's the thing, we probably could, but I think that'd be a fool's errand right now, especially since we need to develop some stuff on this car. Like, for one thing, I think, thank you, we may have to work on the aero on this car and other things. Perhaps a little weight reduction can also help us too, because these teams are also going to be needing to upgrade as well. So we might see some other teams do well during the races as we go along. So far, we got a 24-second lead ahead of Sergio Perez in the Red Bull, followed by Hamilton, Bottas, and isn't really as dominant as he was in the 2022 season, and I'm sure it's the same thing in F1 22, where now Verstappen is the dominant car and Hamilton is not the top guy. But you're gonna have to get used to seeing those names up at the top, especially in these next couple of races. Well, now we have 9 laps to go, and we are almost into our pit window to pit for tires. You may notice that we don't refuel. They banned it a few years ago, actually many years ago, but also for F1 to take a fuel sample from the car to make sure that you're not putting any additives or anything that's like lead shots in the car. So we have to be really nice and gentle through here, but we're keeping the gap pretty well. Had to go all the way down the first gear there for a second. Oh, and that beeping sound that you're hearing, that's actually for me, because that tells the transmission in the gearbox. Well, there isn't a transmission in this car, but there is a gearbox. And we never want to see a box full of neutrals. And I'll tell you, if we can keep up this thing for the rest of the season, we just might get the Drivers' Championship and the Constructors' title. However, the Constructors' title is based on having the 2 cars. So both cars running good. And if Alonso is not doing so hot, then it's probably going to end up being up to me to keep the banner going. But I don't know. I know we'll have some upgrades to the car later this year. We might actually be able to get some upgrades after we're done with this race, but we'll see. But right now, we're coming to pit road. Everybody else has come to pits, and they're now back on the mediums. So we're about to go on the soft tires, and then we can just see them for the last 7 laps of the race. Hey, maybe we can try and set another fastest lap, just to make sure that nobody, tries to steal it. Like, maybe we'll energize our curves a little bit. Maybe we'll get a tiny bit greedy and see if we can get a little bit more, but I don't want to use up too much of the Kurs, so we're going to use it sparingly. But I know we have a weapon underneath this thing, because look at this thing. This thing has been amazing all race long, and I thought we were going to be struggling the entire race, but no. This thing has just been a monster on track. And a good monster at that. Alright, here we go. Coming out of the final corner, we're going to come to bring it down to pit road. See how much we can actually keep ourselves going. There we go. Alright, now let's keep an eye on how well they do here with the pit stop. There's our pit box. Off come the mediums, on come the softs.
Complete, go now.
A 2.9 second stop, and we are back on track. Here come the other cars coming out of the corner. This is going to be really close. But are they actually going to bypass us?
Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross over into the track.
Kind of went down in the neutral for some reason, but look at that. It actually dropped us down to 1.7 seconds. So that is pretty impressive. Now we're on the colder soft tires, so we got to be super careful here. But now we can go like hell. We can go like a bat out of hell. Nice and easy through there. I'm gonna go ahead and add more downforce to the mix. So now we can actually push the car a little bit more again. Internal combustion thingy is now getting worn by about 10%, but I think it's because we're also giving this car a run for its money. Alright, while these tires are still new, we're going to use this to see if we get our fastest lap. In fact, I'm going to stay quiet through this lap, and I want you guys to crank it up on your end and hear the sights and sounds of a Formula 1 car.
Our gap behind is 6.8 seconds.
Wow, a 131.938. Man, this thing is fast on the soft tires. But all right, now let's not use the overtake anymore, because right now, as you can see, it's discharging at a very high rate of speed. That's because it discharges while you're under acceleration, but when you're under brake, as well as also turning, it actually recharges. It's very similar to the hybrid systems that they use in the World Endurance Championship. What I may have to do is I may have to see if there's a upgrade that we can put on this car that will help it from discharging, to not wanting that to go away. Because if that thing goes away, the car will just feel like a slug. So can't really have that happen to us. See, nice and easy through the corner. I just didn't want to touch that curbing. We're going to slowly start catching some lap traffic back there, but I don't think we're going to have to be with any issues here as we get closer to the end of this race. And yeah, like I mentioned, we will be able to upgrade some stuff on the car, from the power unit to the durability of everything, to even some pieces on the front wing. Some of these pieces would hopefully be ready like before the next race. Others will probably do an engine rebuild. It'll probably take half the season, so we'll have to see how this plays out. And the reason why I chose Alpine over some of the other teams is because I really like the Alpine, and I really like the way this thing handles. And plus, I just wanted to be in a team that you don't usually hear too much about. Because this was actually one of the teams that I believe used to be Renault, and then Alpine bought them out. Which, of course, they're going to say Alpine, but it's Alpine. I'm starting to see where we're catching up to some lap traffic a little bit. Probably it's going to be either George Russell or Mazepin. If at all. It's probably Mick Schumacher or somebody. But here we go, we're coming back around the start-finish line, and we got about 4 laps to go now, so at this point we can just simply cruise. And it looks like that the wing damage stuff is on auto, so that means it pretty much fixed the issue back there with the DRS, but thankfully we didn't need it. Let's take a look at our stats over here to see how we're doing, and so far so good. We are actually just gliding over this track. And you know, here's the thing, we're not going to be revisiting Bahrain at all. Because in this series, we only go back to all the tracks at least once. However, we do go back to different countries to run another race, so that's the trade-off. So we'll definitely be back in Saudi Arabia at the end of the year for the Jeddah Street circuit, and we also got to be careful about Baku, which that one I'm gonna have to. Whoa, boy! Ah, get going, get going. Oh my god. That was bad. I got wicked loose there. I got extremely loose.
There's 5 laps of fuel remaining.
Alright, that's good to know, but meanwhile, that was a scary moment. Which now drops the gap down to about 2.2 seconds, but we still are the fastest car right now. I don't see anybody else trying to duck in to get the fastest lap, but yikes, that was scary. That was definitely scary. May have to back off the downforce slightly. But yikes, that car just got totally loose. Thankfully, though, we didn't hit any damage, but I know that because we had to over-rev the car a little bit, we may have screwed up a few things in the ECU and other stuff. Our overtake, which is pretty good. All right, now here's that same turn. Let's not do the same mistake again. Okay, this time we tiptoed a little bit through the corner. That's okay to go out a little bit on the outside. That's fine. I'll go ahead and put a thingy there. Let's go ahead and keep that up for right now. As you can see, the gearbox and the ICU are the ones that are taking the most abuse right now. Anyway, coming around to just 2 laps of racing to go. And we currently still have the race lead over Lewis Hamilton, but he is catching up. But the big question is, will it be enough to possibly catch us and try and pass us? Who knows? If it's because somebody else is banging into somebody, or I don't know what. Sometimes when I actually pause in talking, it's because I'm concentrating on this and also listening to the sounds of the car. Make it nice and easy through here. And I think these soft tires are really starting to give up right now. And I think that's the one issue with this particular strategy that we did, is that the soft tires are now starting to give up a little bit. Meanwhile, everybody else on the mediums, which means they have the longevity. But right now, we are still up here at the front, and as long as we don't spin out on the last lap, we're going to be just fine. Bank isn't a bank out here in Formula 1. So there's the white flag right there.
This is your final lap of the race.
So let's make sure that we can keep this up and not make any mistakes as we go into our last lap of the race. This has been a really fun one, and we've dominated this race quite a lot. Ooh, I can see that Hamilton's getting closer, but I think he's going to run out of time for sure. And it looks like there's a position change there as Perez goes back to 4th. So now the two Mercedes are going to end up on the podium, along with this Alpine, apparently. And boy, you could actually see that. But we got to be careful too, because Hamilton could be within striking distance of the DRS. And let's see what happens here as we come back around to this corner. Just got to be really careful. There's Hamilton. But he's not going to be within striking distance of the DRS, because he had to be within 1 second. He was within 1.1 seconds, so that cancels it out right there. Oh man, these front tires are really starting to give me a problem. But is he going to be there for when we actually come back around the start-finish line? That's going to be the big question, but I don't think so. Here we go. We're going to come out of the final corners. This is our first ever F1 Series race on tape, and it's going to go out with a bang. Here we go, into the final corner we must go. The tires are now completely fried, but it's smooth sailing from now. We will beat Lewis Hamilton, and we will win the Bahrain GP. Also, the helmet's the wrong color, too. And look at that, we got the driver of the day, too. Get in there, Lewis.
A fantastic team effort then to secure victory here in the desert.
Yeah, man. We did it.
Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
That was insane.
Podium time, and once again it's a clear win for Alpine. Alpine have seen their fair share of success in Formula 1, and today is proof that they've still got what it takes to thrill us all. Congratulations to everyone.
And we beat the Mercedes twins. And look at that, it's an American on the podium too, as a winner. That was fun. That was a very fun race, a little nerve-wracking, but that's basically how these F1 races are going to be played out. So we get our good stuff here. Let's skip that.
The scientist takes over the lead of the Drivers' Championship. Some amazing talent out on the track today. But Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
I have to give it to the scientist. There was a lot going on all down the field, but they were the only one who I really felt maximised their potential.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Mercedes move to the top of the table. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula 1. Be sure to join us for the next one.
And there's Giovinazzi that was back there, and then Mazepin was a lap down. Now at the Constructors' title, right now we are just 7 points out of first place because Mercedes got them a double podium. Me, it was the win and 11th, or 12th actually. So that isn't good. So anyway, that takes care of it all, and that was an absolutely amazing race for sure.